This is a short tutorial on how to create a simple Google form, ideally for physical educators. I'm going to set up a real simple fitness data Google form. So the first thing you need is to have a Gmail account, either a personal account or an institutional account. And if you do, you can go to your Google Drive, and create a new form, which is really simple. Or you can go to google.com and click up here on the Apps tab and go down to where it says More. Click on More. And at the bottom says Even More from Google. It'll take you to this wider window. Scroll down to Home and Office, and you'll see Forms. And click that button, and that'll take you to a template for creating a simple Google form. This is a wide variety of applications for surveys, anytime you're trying to gather data from anyone. So, a real simple template here. First thing you might want to do is at the bottom, make sure if you want this to be private, where students don't see the responses, in other words, all their classmates' data, then you'd make sure you do not click this. If you'd like to make it public for everyone to see, then you'd click this. So we're not going to click that, so that when students respond, they don't see the spreadsheet of all the data. A lot of options here. You can change the theme. We're going to go with just the basic, which is the default, but if you scroll, you can choose any one of a number of different background themes. So we'll stick with the default. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can change the theme. You can also insert, if you wanted to, an image, and that'll just put whatever image, if you want your school logo or something like that. So you have a wide variety of options there, but we're going to just stick with the basics here. So we can title our form, and just for today, we'll just say physical fitness testing. And then we'll add questions. Now, there's a lot of options here. Question title, say we want to put a class period. That's just prompts you as to the question, and then a help text. They can add whatever class period, or click on, you can give instructions. Click on your class period, or whatever you want to put there for instructions. Now, there's a lot of different question types. For class period, and you can see all the options. Text just is a small box. If you want to put a number in, or a score, or short brief text. Paragraph text gives you a bigger text box to enter if you have a longer response. Multiple choice obviously gives you multiple choice answers. Check boxes has a list, and you can check more than one. So if you're looking for multiple answers, that might be the best option. Choose from a list. You'd create a list, and then you'd only be able to choose one of the options. It'll be a drop down. Scale, you can go 1 to 10, 1 to 5, so if you want them to choose a number along a scale. Grid will set up columns and rows if you have multiple responses, multiple options for those responses, and date and time are self-explanatory. So those are the type of questions you can create on this form. So for class period, we're going to choose from a list. So we can say period 1. These would be, for example, the periods that you teach during the school day. Say you teach 1, 2, and 3. And then when you're done with your options, if you want this to be a required question, in other words, they have to answer this in order to submit, you'd click that button, required question, and then you just hit done. So that's what it would look like in the form. Now this isn't the live form, this is just the template. So that would be your first one. Add item. Say you want them to enter their last name. Self-explanatory, you don't need help text. Text box will do it. Their answer's here. Make that a required question. Done. So that's where they'd fill in their last name. Add item. We can say first name, required question, okay, etc., etc. So we can add a wide variety of questions. Why don't we put a fitness, let's say a 2-minute push-up max. So you might want to say must touch chest to partner's fist to count. So it gives them a prompt on how to complete that particular, and you can write whatever you want there. And we keep text because we're going to enter numbers, so it's just a space that they're going to put the number they get. And we'll say required question, and done. So again, each let me just show you a couple other options. Let's say pull-ups. Total chin must clear bar to count. Must extend elbows on descent. In other words, just give them prompts. Let's create another example of a question. Let's create choose from a list, just so you can see what that looks like. So let's say 1, or actually 0. Maybe some kids can't do any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say you're working with young kids, and 10 would be the most they could ever do. Required question, done. So pull-ups, you can see if they choose that. Oops. If we go to the live form, let's see what that looks like. So here would be a very simple layout, but here's your pull-ups option, and they would then select the one number where for their score. So again, you could, very, very simple. You have a lot of freedom to put whatever you want in here. And if you want to go back and change it at all, you just go to this button, edit this form, and it goes back to the template. You can create questions. So that's basically how to set up the form itself. So here's a form that I set up just really quickly to show you an example of what it might look like. I put our nice little Brophy logo on there, titled it BCP PE Fitness Measurement, class period required, last name required, first name required, test, and this they would enter whether it's a pre-test, midterm, or post-test, for example. And then here's 3 tests that I just created very quickly. Test 1, 2-minute max push-ups to failure, and again, must touch chest to partner's fist to count, enter total. That's our help text. 2-minute max pull-ups to failure, must go down to full elbow extension at bottom, and chin must clear bar to count. And the third one, estimated 1 rep max back squat. Thigh must go below parallel with ground to count, and you can again write your own criteria for that. So a student would enter this, they would get the URL to complete this, and again they would only get the live form where they could enter, and they can't see the results. And then when they're done, they'd hit submit. What's great about these forms too is it'll collect the data in a separate spreadsheet. So there's a couple ways to access it. Sometimes at the top, if you're in the form edit mode, it'll say view responses, and this is what it'll look like. So this is our data collected, and I just threw in some class periods, period all period one, and then last name. I just put numbers next to my name and C, and then pre-post, 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 and then entered some scores. And if you wanted to go back, you can go back to edit the form where the data is submitted, or go to live form, and that's where they would enter it. So summary of responses is a default sort of graphs and charts that are set up. But I'm going to show you how to do custom charts in a second. But this would be the collection of data. So as a teacher, you would go in and look at this spreadsheet, and you could grade them based on it. One of the great things is you can see all your scores, or you can filter. If you wanted to filter, you could search any way you want. You could search, you could sort it, alphabetically. You could sort it by class period. So there's kind of filter options here. Define named range, so you could look for certain students and just pull that student's data out. Now, if you're really into this stuff, you could take it a step further. And what I've done is I've created these columns and set up formulas so you can analyze the data. So not just have the raw scores in here, but you can get averages. You can get, I set up one for push-up percent gain, so what percent did they gain, pull-ups percent gain, and squat percent gain. So how do you do that? Well, you click on a cell that you want to put the actual data, and then up here, this is the function. Now there's some coding here, but it's pretty simple. Your functions always start with an equal sign. So if I want to do percent gain, I would choose the cell, I'd put this in parentheses. So for example, I want to know the difference between these two. So this is the F, there's F, and it's 3. So F3 cell minus the F2 cell. Now that's the difference between the two, how many push-ups they've increased. You might want to just have that. So F3 minus F2, there's your function. But I wanted to know what percent of their original they gained. So I added to that, put a division sign, and then you divide by the original. And then you click return, and it'll just automatically calculate it. And then if you want to do that all the way down the column, you just copy. You hit this cell and hit copy, Control C, or and then hit the cells down here and paste, and it'll change the formula for the appropriate data. So you can take that same formula you used here and not have to re-enter all the different cell numbers, and it'll populate percent gain. So it's kind of a cool way. You can do that for hundreds, and it'll just, with a push of a button, you'll get percent gains for all of it. So I did, percent gains for each, and then if we scroll over, we could even do some more data collection. So again, I set up my text that describes what I'm looking for. I click on the cell where I want that calculated. Now for averages, again, you always start with an equal sign for your function. All you do is type in the word average, parentheses, and now you just write down the first cell and the last cell of the column that you want to average with a colon in between. So in this case, it would be I1, or I'm sorry, I2 to I9 or 10. Doesn't really matter if there's no numbers in it, but you can see I1 to I9 in parentheses with a colon in between, and then hit return, and then it'll average that column. So there's a lot of so you can set up your own formulas. So you can see here, I did that for average gains and pull-ups, and again you can see equals average parentheses J1 colon J9 parentheses, and then it'll tabulate. So whatever field I choose, I just put in the numbers. It could be 1,000 cells column, and you just put in the appropriate first and last um, cell numbers or cell coordinates, and it'll calculate it for you. So that's kind of cool. So let's do a simple one. Say we want to compare classes. Let's just do an average. What you want to know, what is your class average? So you can compare all of your classes and see which class has the highest average. So we label that column because that's where we want to put the data. Period 1 push-up average. We'd click in the cell. We'd go to the function. We'd hit equals average parentheses. Now we look back to see where are our push-up, where's our push-up column. So that's F. So we'd go 2 to 10. So we'd go F2, and remember the colon, F10. And you can see how it highlights. That's the area we select. And you hit return, and now you can see the average of all of those entries is 33 2/3. So that's a good way to get simple averages. So there's lots of different functions, and you can go to a long list and choose the function you want, or you could kind of create your own function as I did right there. If you want to take it one step further, if you want to create charts, and I think this is really valuable so you can see in a visual representation of your class or classes compared to one another or a wide variety of data, and I think this is great for promoting physical education at open houses, or say, look at what my physical education classes are doing, or to validate what you're doing. Show your administration, hey, look at the gains these kids have had. Or you can sort of evaluate your curriculum. Maybe you didn't have the gains you wanted, or one class is different. You can try to figure out why that is and change your curriculum to better accommodate those deficiencies or to highlight the strength. Let's just take a look at this one first. You see, this is a chart I created, fitness test results. So you can see percent gains, and here's our percent gain for push-ups, percent gain for pull-ups, and percent gain for squats. Choose that title and field and do insert chart. Now if you do that, it's going to automatically show you, I don't know what this is, some sort of odometer with the average, period 1 pull-up average. But you can change that any way you want. So you could do a column chart, and there you see it. That's a simple, you can see your average right there. And you can change, see how it says horizontal axis title, you can change all that. So we go customize, we can change the chart title, so we can say period 1 pull up average. And again, you can do this for 8 classes and see each class side by side, and all you need to do is highlight those averages, those class averages, highlight all those boxes together, and it would pull it up. But then you can change the title. So there you see the title change, period 1 pull-up average. You can scroll down, you can change the text, bold it, italics, the number, the font, etc. The background color. So there's a lot of options there. We'll keep it simple. But here you see horizontal axis, and right now it's just called horizontal axis title. So we'll just say push-up, or I'm sorry, pull-ups. And we change to vertical, left vertical. We can change that. We'll say total number or total pull-ups. And you could change the range too. Not many guys can do 40 pull-ups, so you might want to make it look more impressive. So minimum 0, maximum 20, or some other number. So that way it looks like they've done more when actually they haven't. So you can change the data a number of different ways, change the grid lines and other data. But that's a simple way to create a form or a chart. And again, if you had 6 periods, you could create formulas for averages, one right next to another, highlight the heading and the data, the results, and it would pull it into a chart for you automatically if you hit Insert Chart, and then you just go to um, Customize to customize the axes and stuff like that. And again, depending on what sort of chart you pulled up and wanted to create. Now, the great thing about this is, you can use it to publish. You can't copy and paste this directly into a Word document or something. You have to copy and paste it into another Google doc, a blank Google Doc, and then from there you can export it and create graphics or posters or whatever you want to do. So that's how to create a chart or graph with your data, which is kind of cool. And then you put insert, and it'll just insert it in whatever cell you had. So there it is. And we can actually move this and put it anywhere we want. You can change the size of the chart any way you want, if it's too big or too small. And again, you can also, when the little hand's showing, drag it anywhere you want in the sheet. So you can create as many charts as you want and with the data. But again, you have to capture the fields you want or the cells you want to include in the chart, and then hit this icon right here or this button, Insert Chart, and then go through that process of setting up how you want it to look with different colors. I hope this has helped. This is just very, very basic instructions on how to set up a Google form and for physical education fitness data, but certainly the applications are virtually endless for surveys and any sort of data collection you intend to do. Thank you so much.